Hello, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Clash of the Correspondents. We have two back again, James, because last week we only had one. No games.
Well, we're back, finally.
You know what we should have done last week is found a Czech correspondent or a Bulgarian correspondent and done an international Clash of the Correspondents.
Really?
Anyway.
What a great idea. I'll tell you, we'll do it for the next one. We'll find a Montenegrin and a Kosovan.
Okay, if you are a Planet FPL listener and you're Montenegrin or Kosovan, is that who we're playing? So,
Well, next time, yeah.
Yeah, fine. Message James at Planet FPL Pod and we'll see if we can do an international Clash of the Correspondents.
But
Tell everybody who we got today.
Only on the condition you can find a San Marino correspondent for me first. That'd be far more entertaining.
But we're not playing them, are we?
No, we ain't. Scotland just played them in a soaking way.
Nah, let's leave it.
We're talking of internationals. We should clarify before we introduce the guys, just in case shit happens and goes down between now and Thursday. We are pre-recording this on Monday.
Correct.
Just in case Tammy Abraham or Joe Linton happen to get injured between now and Thursday. We have Ted at Rotation FPL, our Chelsea correspondent. How are you, Ted?
I'm all right, mate. How are you?
Yeah, good, thank you. And we have Si at FPL_Fitwaller, our Newcastle correspondent. YI, Si, how are you?
I'm good, boys. Hope you're all well.
Yeah, for anybody that's wondering where Si's Geordie accent is, just rewind back to July and listen to the 30 and 30, I think is the best answer for that, right?
Yeah, especially the YouTube video with the knickers hanging out from the cupboard shelves.
Indeed. It's a big game for you guys this weekend. Let's start with you, Si. I don't know where to start with Newcastle because you've beaten Spurs and you've beaten Manchester United. Yeah, in between that, there's been some pretty dire stuff as well.
I don't know where to start with Newcastle, to be honest, this season. It's kind of weird because I think the results have almost been a bit predictable. So that includes the draws, the defeats. So the start of the season, wasn't really expecting anything from the opening game. Going into Norwich, I expected us to lose. Still didn't bring any Norwich players in for that game though, so shit off. That was Pukki's infamous hat-trick. And then, ever since then, it's been... I think I said something similar in an article I wrote last year that under Benitez, we felt quite predictable when we were going to win, lose and draw. I don't really see that being any different under Bruce. I think it's going to be quite similar. We might just not pick up as many wins as last season.
Has anything changed, like tactically?
Tactically? Oh, interesting. So I think Bruce has tried to introduce a couple of different styles of play. I think he did at Norwich. That didn't go too well. And then there's been quite a lot of reporting on the Man U result and the way that we were set up for that. And it was kind of almost referred to as going back to the Benitez way of playing, which is quite, I guess it's fairly accurate. So I think he's still trying to find his best system. To be honest, we haven't had all of our players available. I think the last game was the first time we had our kind of front three fit and available. We're still missing, I think Lejeune would be our best left-sided centre-back. So he brought Clark in for the last game because Dummett had a nightmare against Leicester. So we're kind of there or thereabouts with our best team. Matt Ritchie's been out for a while, but it's debatable, I think, whether he actually offers more than William in that left-back/left wing-back position. So I don't know, it's just been all a bit like depressing, to be honest, this season. I can't say I've massively enjoyed watching us get 15 to 18% possession every game, but it is what it is, I suppose.
He was hoping, though, we'd caught you on a positive after the United result.
I mean, I watched the game. I was obviously cheering and happy, and it was nervous, and that's what it's going to be like for the rest of the season. But I don't know, it's just quite hard to get up for Newcastle this season, just with everything else that's going on. And you think about when you support a team and what you're looking forward to as the season goes ahead, and you want to talk about tactics and players. And yeah, it was great that the Longstaff brothers are in there, but it's just long term, it's just where's the vision? Where's this going? Are we just playing game to game, season to season, trying to stay up? And yeah, sorry, I will try and be a bit more positive, but it kind of reflects, I think, the mindset.
No, but I don't see how that's... You're right, I don't see how that's massively different to even under Benitez, just staying up and playing game to game. Are you happy with Bruce so far, or is it still the jury's out in much the way it was?
I think the players seem to be happy with him. I think from a kind of man management point of view, I think they like his style, potentially more over than Benitez. You've heard players, I think, that pre-season came out and said that he's got like a more of a man management style. I think the problem will be is when we get back in the shit and it's the second half of the season and we haven't strung a couple of wins together, can't score goals. It's whether those players are still going to be as happy just because he puts an arm around the shoulder. I think under Benitez, tactically, we were more sound. I think the players at the moment still are kind of leaning on that experience from last season. I haven't seen anything that Bruce has brought that's new to the team this year.
You're not in the relegation
struggling
zone, so I suppose that's a positive to take straight away.
No, but I mean, again, trying not to be negative about it, but I look around the league and I don't see three teams that are worse than us at the moment.
Watford are not doing great. Norwich not doing great. I mean, Everton garbage. Man United garbage.
Well, there's your three.
There's four there. I would have really put money on Newcastle to go down a couple of games ago, but it's going to be tight between the bottom 5 or 6 teams. So you could get yourselves out of it if you string a few results together. But you need I'm
looking at how many draws we need to stay
If
up.
Joe Linton can get even 12 goals this season, and Almiron can break this duck that might never ever be broken.
Will he ever score, Si?
You know what? He gets one good chance a game, and I mean like one good. I haven't bothered to look at what his XG is because it's going to be like under
0.0 something.
Nah, higher.
He gets one good chance a game, and he just seems at the moment his confidence is low. He'll snatch it, hit the keeper, but one of these times I think it will go in. I'm not saying that will set him off on a kind of Perez style run of scoring 12 in a row, but at the moment our top scorer, there's about 6 players that have got 1 goal each, and that's kind of what our outlook is for the season.
Talking of XG, on the flip side, behind Liverpool and Manchester City, I think I understood and read, Ted, that Chelsea are third in the table for XG.
Yeah, it sort of depends what time range you look over, but we're certainly right up there. I think we're second, in fact, if you look at just the last 4. We're really flying at the moment, and it's better, in fact, if you look at the expected goals conceded from. Just expected goals conceded. We're looking really solid, to be honest. I'm very happy with it.
Yeah, I mean, there was a lot of question marks at the start of the season because of the unknowns, no transfer window purchases are allowed to be made. Frank Lampard is a new manager, going to bring in youth and all the rest of it. You've got to be happy with the way things are gelling there.
Fully. I mean, I was expecting the youngsters to do well, but this is better than what I was expecting, to be honest. I thought it would take them a bit of time to get going, and they've just come in flying, all of them. Tomori, Mount, Abraham, even James looking like it. They just come in at top speed. It's brilliant.
I mean, I don't know why we're surprised, because they've been playing through the ranks together for a number of years, so they do know each other and they've played with each other, so it shouldn't really be a surprise. It's probably more surprising when players that have been brought in from different clubs hit the ground running, but these guys, they know each other's games, right? Albeit they've been out on loan, a few of them.
I think the fear was the jump together. We said that at the start, particularly I think you were probably yourself a bit concerned after the Sheffield United draw, I think especially, Ted, to be blowing a 2-0 lead at home. You think, what's going on here? Like, you have to be scoring 3 or 4 every game to win a game, and that's happened on a couple of occasions, Norwich, Wolves, etc. But I don't think you can get 1 or 2 come through together at the same time. I mean, they've had at least 3 in Tomori, Abraham, Mount. You could argue Hudson-Odoi is still finding his feet amongst the squad. To all come together is, they're all in the England squad, right?
Yeah, it's true. But you could argue that one of the biggest strengths you've had this season, though, is the engine room, which is slightly more established players. Jorginho, Kante, Kovacic, right in the heart of it.
Yeah, if people were to talk to me about which player you're most impressed with this season, I feel sort of obligated to say someone like Mount, but Jorginho's been absolutely fantastic this season. And I was saying at the start of the year about we don't play for Regista anymore, so there's really no need for him in the team. Juventus are sniffing around for 70 odd million. Really, I was saying, that's a great amount of money to pick up for him. But his performances recently have been just superb. The whole thing about him, now he's no longer locked into that position as a Regista role. He gets a bit more freedom. He's no longer getting shut down. I mean, it started back last season. I think it was against Spurs. I think it was Dele Alli. Once they put a man on him, that was just his game done. But now he's got a bit more freedom. He's looking so much better. He's running the game. The passes into the final third, as well as this work in like dispossessions, is just top class. I'm really over the moon with him.
I wanted to ask you, Ted. I mean, actually, a lot's been said about the individual players. I have to say, I've been impressed with the flexibility Lampard's shown in terms of picking the back three against Wolves, came out of nowhere. And I noticed something interesting when I asked you about the Southampton game, which I watched, was Kante's position. So Kante, not himself personally, but Sarri got a lot of criticism for playing Kante in this kind of right of a midfield three last year. And yet, basically, he played the same position at Southampton last week and nobody says anything. Is there anything in that? Or?
People say that his position is that middle midfielder. He's just not. That's not his position. It never has been. He played there for a couple of games under. Well, yeah, but it was at Chelsea. It was under Conte. He played there a couple of games. He was all right. He wasn't fantastic. It was when he switched to be alongside Fabregas in a sort of a double pivot. That's where he really shone. And he loves that position, but he can still push forward. I mean, his finishing isn't fantastic. I mean, he occasionally pops up with a brilliant goal, but his attacking work rate is superb, and it's exactly what we need. We've got a bunch of aggressive runners in front of him. I really love to see him pushing up. I don't have any problem with him playing in that three.
Is that his best position then?
I'd say his best position is in a double pivot, but I think he's better if we're playing a 4-3-3. He's better on one of those sides rather than through the middle. Through the middle is much more suited to Jorginho.
Because I think I'd even go with a bit of naivety myself on this and say I would have just seen him going back in with Jorginho in a 4-2-3-1. That's what I would have foreseen.
That's the formation I really love. I think that's the one that long term we'll switch to because we've got so many good attacking players. We have four wingers, Mount and Loftus-Cheek. I'm not going to include Barkley because he's Barkley. But to get
Ed, what happened to Kennedy? Is he still?
He's on loan. He's gone off on loan. I can't remember where to, but yeah, he's.
So he's we'll have him back.
I remember him having some properly poor games at Newcastle, but he was all right pre-season. Yeah, he was. But he's a talented kid. He's got a loan. I can't remember where. I think it's somewhere in Europe.
I just had a look. He's at Getafe.
Right. Okay.
He's chilling out there. At the start of the season, you would have never seen the ownership numbers on the top two boys at Chelsea now. 41.8% on Abraham. 34.5% on Mount. They're basically template boys now. I'm assuming you own both, Ted.
Oh yeah, fully. Yeah.
And are you advocating three?
It sort of depends on your team. Tomori's looking sort of a first choice centre back now with Rudiger still various different injuries popping up with him, and he's looked excellent. If you fancy that, go for it. I mean, all he's going to get is clean sheets, and if you think Chelsea will get clean sheets, go for it. But I'm eyeing Hudson-Odoi. I've got a proper soft spot for him, and what is it, 5.9 million? That is very tempting.
I mean, Liverpool and City, for example, wouldn't think twice about tripling up. When you get to the clubs that are anywhere below that, I always feel a little nervous having all my eggs in one basket. But the game
he's got the fixtures and he's got the value. I mean,
that's
you can't
the
go
thing,
too
right?
wrong.
The value, it's the price. It's like I wouldn't want any £5 to £7 million, £5 to £7 million players from the same club normally. But in this situation, we're really in that. You can't really look a gift horse in the mouth in terms of what Chelsea are offering from an FPL point of view. But I don't like the triple up defender, midfielder, attacker. I think the two attacking midfielders and the strikers the best triple up if you were going to.
I think with Chelsea, and we touched on this a little bit on the People's Poll, is it feels like with them, I think a lot of people will get to the end of this season and then you'll get the prices from next season and it'll be like, I can't believe I didn't own him at that price last year.
Yeah, exactly.
And it's not just Abraham or Mount that's falling into that. Ted's right, it's Hudson-Odoi, it's Tomori. They're the main four. Would that be fair, Ted? Should donors be looking anywhere else?
Yeah, I don't think there's anywhere else. The Willian's looking really good at the moment, but with Pulisic lurking, he's not quite clicking at the moment. But when he does, you're gonna have to look at, will Willian have continuous time? And even if he does, is he worth the money? Everywhere else is too much risk of sort of rotation or whatever. It's not really nothing really appealing to me there.
Si, do you have any Newcastle players in your squad?
No, no, I haven't. To be honest, when you set this correspondence pod up, I hadn't even looked at the fixtures, and I thought you were doing it because Chelsea had so many value picks, and Newcastle, genuinely think Newcastle is the most overrated in terms of price and undervalued players you could pick from. Like, I looked through the squad again today, and I think we were priced still on reputation. There's some players that have fallen in value. So like Lascelles is 4.4 now. And like we will get some clean sheets, but like being a Newcastle fan, I can't ever think that we're going to get a clean sheet. So I tend to avoid defenders. And no, I don't have any picks. I think I started with Hayden and then I shipped him out for Cantwell. I looked at William. I think he's like attacking wise, he's got potential. It's just whether he's going to get enough returns and create enough chances. I think really it's all going to depend on when Carroll can get in the team. Because at the moment, I don't see that front three and the way that we're set up as being our optimal formation. So I don't think Joe Linton's an out-and-out forward.
Would you play two with Carroll and Joe Linton together then, do you think?
So like, if you look at where he came from, so he came from like Hoffenheim. So I think he was bought originally for that team to replace Firmino. And if you look at actually what his ability is, he's got decent hold-up play. But when you put him up against like a big centre back, he's not physically tall enough to kind of carry the ball. His interplay is actually quite good in his first time touch, and he can find a pass. And I just think that us kind of putting him up there as the solo donkey up front, that's not his role. I'd like to see Carroll up front, him in behind, and then Almiron and St. Maxim, who's just like, I don't know whether he's crap it yet. I haven't quite made my mind up, but I like his style, and as long as he keeps his kind of like directness up, because I think that was a big part of how we were able to manage the whatever pressure man you were able to put on us, was just him getting the ball and just dribbling like a lunatic until he got near goal. And with the sort of percentage of passing that we're able to complete is woeful this season, we kind of need that. So that's what I'd like to see. I don't know if we're ever going to see it. I think I didn't actually realise Steve Bruce was such a negative manager, to be honest. Like I somehow got this thought in my head that he was a little bit more cavalier than he is, but he is like super defensive. And I don't know whether that's because he's using the assets he's got. So I had a look back, and actually, if you look through his managerial career, he is actually, defensively all right, attacking wise, kind of never really kind of like delivers what you need him to, and that's kind of where we are at the moment as a team.
Yeah, I think like his Hull and his Birmingham teams that he come up with were kind of built on solid foundations defensively first, and he's inherited some players who are very good defensively. I mean, you've mentioned obviously Lascelles at 4.4 of Pills. The only thing that put me off Lascelles is it's still got about 4% worth of ownership.
He drops a couple of more points, it'd be cheaper than a Big Mac meal.
I think Willems would be worth avoiding because I think Richie would probably get back in the team as and when fit, personally.
Richie started the season at 5.5 million, didn't he?
Yes,
he
defender.
Was very
it's
expensive.
5.3 now. It's too much. But the theory was he was going to be on
much.
payments, etc. What about Fabian Schär side? Because he's super reliable, isn't he? And he's liable for a goal.
Yeah. Oh, I rate him. I think he is. So you compare us to a team like Brighton when we play three at the back, and he is legitimately the only one that can bring the ball out. Whereas like the kind of flavour of the month is you play three at the back. You look at like Sheffield United as another example. They have two defenders, central defenders that play on either side that can bring it out. He's the only one that can do it for us. I think he's really good. I think he's solid, international experience. You've seen him pop up with a goal. We can bring the ball forward. I'm not sure how much longer he's going to be at Newcastle, to be honest. He feels like one of those players that, someone like a Spurs should be interested in. I know you were kind of like sniffing around the sales for a while, but
I'd take both of them at the moment,
I rate
mate.
him higher.
He'd bring me Dummett as well.
Yeah. You can have some of our right backs as well if you want.
Yeah, we'll have Yedlin back. Yeah, okay. He's definitely a crappy DeAndre Yedlin, mate. And presumably when Leyoun's fit, that might help in terms of the process of bringing the ball out from the back. Because he's a decent player as well, isn't he?
Yeah, he is good. You look at our three centre-backs and our goalkeeper, almost solid. I don't know if we can really rely on the two Longstaff brothers in midfield, but I'm disappointed in Shelvey this season. I thought he would finally have that kind of like breakthrough season. I don't know if he's got like the legs to play in the Premier League anymore unless you're going to put him in a 3.
Yeah, no, I think like from the Arsenal game opening day, he was quite lively first half, faded as the game went on. And I think defensively got exposed really badly in the Norwich game. And then Bruce, as you said, kind of reverted to type at Tottenham in game week 3 and played similar to the United game, a bit more of a Benitez system, if you will. And it worked, and he's not had a look in since, really. Don't think he trusts Shelby or Key in that area.
This week is...
and they're the only 2 players that can keep the ball for us.
Well, yeah, that's the flip side of it. But Sean Longstaff, I've got that the right way round, haven't I? The more experienced of the 2.
Yeah.
He looks a good footballer,
The
mate.
lanky one. We got a lanky one and a ginger one.
Well, I was going to say, Matty definitely got the good-looking genes, didn't he?
I don't know about that, but I mean, I found myself agreeing with Graham Souness.
Oh, no, Sean definitely got the result, I'm telling you, mate.
This week's being looked at.
Yeah.
I was going to say, this week's being looked at by quite a lot of people as the chance to have an alternative captain being not one of the premiums. Callum Wilson being talked about, obviously. But the Chelsea guys are being considered as well. Ted, are you brave enough to put the armband on Abraham?
Probably not. No.
Okay.
I think he's a great option. Don't get me wrong, but I'm an incredibly dull manager. There's no chance I'm looking away from, say, rested Guerrero against Palace. I'll give that a go probably.
Palace can dull though. They'll put 10.
Yeah, they can be a real tough
ball.
team to break down. Yeah, but I still fancy it's City and Aguero. I'd probably still end up with them. You might check my team on Saturday, and I've got Abraham captain. I don't know, but he's certainly a good option.
That would be only if you forgot to change your captain, right? Did you not do that 3 weeks ago?
We'll see. No, I've been pretty solid on Aubameyang recently. Bit of
Aubameyang. There we go. And sorry, who are you thinking of sticking the armband on this week?
It's on Tammy at the moment.
Oh, there we go.
My other options are, so I put it on Pookie last week, but kind of got away with that, I think, because no one else did anything. So that was a bit lucky.
Yeah.
Otherwise, Aguero or potentially Sterling, but I think Aguero, as Ted said, just because he's had that rest, you think he's going to at least play 70 minutes.
Sterling's not playing tonight, mind. He's been benched, so I didn't even know if I didn't even
he's
look
in
at the
the team.
bench.
Sterling
was
was in
he?
the team.
I thought it was Rashford, Sancho, and Kane.
You're now 3 days out.
Sancho.
There.
Sancho isn't.
No.
Oh, okay. Then
in
it
the
was
team.
Sterling. Sorry, Rashford and Kane.
I love it when Sterling gets injured, South. You've just completely jinxed it.
Well, I don't mind. I don't own him anymore, so he can.
You're
do
still
what he
waiting for that Kevin De Bruyne price drop, aren't you?
Yeah, exactly. I'm sitting in that pool of people that needed the 0.1 to get him back without having to make 2 transfers and take a hit.
I don't know about captain. It sounds odd, but like when De Bruyne's not in the team, I just don't feel half as confident about City. I don't know whether that's mad or not. I haven't captained in the last couple of weeks.
I think you're spot on there. City don't look nearly as good, in my opinion, when De Bruyne is missing. I think he adds a lot to that team.
I think Sergio very reluctant to talk about Kevin De Bruyne anymore.
I don't mind talking about him at all because I've got a number of options number of moves that I can make to find the point. I only need 0.1 to find him and to get him back, and I can do that. And it may not even be this week, and I may just hold out for another week. Look, because he's not going up from 10. We can agree on that, can't we?
I know you got 10% of people want him back, don't they? If he's declared fit, mate.
Yeah, true. But it would be absolutely insane if he went back up in price again without dropping in price. Surely.
Don't rule it out.
No, I wouldn't worry about. Don't trust FPL Towers with anything.
I wouldn't worry about missing the 0.1. It's going to be the haul you miss if he does play.
Yeah,
that's what I'd be more worried about.
That's a great point, Ted. Yeah, forget the value. What am I missing out on with this guy? Yeah, very, very true. What's your serious thoughts for the game at the weekend? Predictions, lads. We'll start with Ted.
I think it'll be I'm hoping for a good win. I think everything seems to suggest to me. After that we had, was it Wolves? I think last time after last international break, we came back, looked excellent in that. And I'm hoping we'll get a similar sort of performance here. It certainly looks like one. I think Newcastle will be tough to break down, but I think we've got the players to do it. So hesitantly lean towards a high score line with a Chelsea clean sheet there.
We don't need to ask side. We already know 1-0 Newcastle.
Yeah.
Same as 5-4-1. Sit in deep. Break this shit down if you can. First goal's would be crucial, wouldn't it, Si?
Yeah, absolutely. I think if we concede early, there's a danger we might fold. It looks like that's the kind of difference, I think, between Bruce and Benitez. It feels like we have that potential in us just to kind of give up on a game, potentially, if it's not going our way. So if we concede early, I can only see it kind of going one way. Although from what I've seen of Chelsea, they don't seem to be able to control a game for an entire match, a bit like ourselves. We'll tend to have like 5-10 minute spells. Chelsea will have longer ones naturally because they're a better team. So I don't know, it could be one of those where both teams have little spells. If Almiron can put his one chance away this week, I don't know, anything can happen.
He's never going to score, I'm telling you, mate.
He will score, but then
I was trying to be positive there.
I think
How was that?
I think
Was that convincing?
you're hoping that sometimes when they do break that duck and score, that it's going to be floodgates. But I just feel like for him, he'll score a goal. There'll be a small bandwagon, and then he'll never do anything again for a while.
I think what's important to mention for the FPL managers who are probably considering investing in Chelsea and perhaps the captaincy on Abraham this week.
Yeah.
So if we take the Leicester game aside, and I think maybe a bad result at Liverpool sort of Christmas time last year, generally you tend to lose these games, but you tend to only lose them by one.
Yeah.
No, what I mean is you don't often
take.
take hidings. I forget the Leicester game. We'll never know with or without a red card if it had ended up that bad or not. I suspect they would have won comfortably, but it wouldn't have been like that. I'm thinking of this fixture last year. Ted, you might correct me if I'm wrong. I'm sure Chelsea went in front, were very comfortable. Newcastle equalised for half time. I think it finished 2-1. I think William might have got a nice winner. But Newcastle are very good defensively. When you say, Si, there might not be 3 teams worse than you, I tell you, there's definitely more than 3 worse than you defensively. I support one of them for a start.
But I think when you get into a season and your confidence in your attack and your ability to score goals just completely dries up, and you're relying on clean sheets, you just see teams like crumble under pressure, or as soon as they concede one, they're done. And we're in danger of falling into that, of being a team that, as long as it's 0-0, we've got a chance. I just don't know how long it's going to stay 0-0 for at the weekend. That would be my concern.
Yeah,
but I don't know.
I'm sitting with Ted on this one, I'm afraid. I think it's going to be a 3-0 or a 4-0 comfortably for Chelsea, because it is at Stamford Bridge. Chelsea going ahead early will mean 3 or 4 without any reply.
It comes down to the first goal, I think. But I think Chelsea assets are obviously, you're going to play them in this game, and I don't think Abraham's a bad shout.
No, for a captaincy option, definitely one to watch.
And it's very much sitting on the fence. It wouldn't be surprised if Chelsea won 3-0 or so very comfortably, and I wouldn't be surprised if I come out of White Hart Lane and I found out it's a draw. Honestly, wouldn't be surprised at all, because I trust them defensively generally. I think the Leicester game was an isolated incident, and I think they're decent defensively.
Well, we're going to find out in all of a handful of days. Guys, thank you for joining us on Clash of the Correspondents. I have no idea what even episode number we're on, to be honest with you, James. Like 9, 10, something like that.
Doesn't matter. It's game week 9 preview.
Exactly. And all of the articles and bits and pieces that you've been contributing for the website and interaction on Twitter as well. We kind of appreciate all of it. But yeah, thanks for that, guys.
No worries. Cheers. Appreciate it. It's good fun.
Cool. What do we have left this week, James?
We have final plan tomorrow. We'll find out if Suj is still going with his cojones and captaining Callum Wilson.
I haven't got a choice, mate. I shook Tom Cantwell's hand and said we're both going into a pack together. So I have no choice
maybe we'll find out if I'm still captaining Harry Kane.
I tell you what, there's a number of FPL managers that have been on Twitter saying they're doing the same thing. Adam at 35 Hoover said he's on that as well. Paul, Sky Player in FPL, said he's on that as well. So I'm getting concerned, because the more people that do it, the less chance of success there's going to be. Or it's not even a differential anymore at that point as well.
He's definitely a differential.
Yeah, so let's see. So final plan tomorrow. Do stay tuned for that before Game Week 9, where James and I run down the North v South differentials and our individual teams as well. Other than that, thanks again, guys, for joining us. Ciao for now.
Good luck, gents. Thanks, lads. Cue music, man, child.
The Fantasy Football Show.